Hello, good morning and welcome to another exciting time to talk about the best stories and the trending stories emanating from the world of sports. It is Sports Central, brought to you live and exclusive to Spectrum Television. And I am Utabe David. Well, a day after the D Tigers of Nigeria seated the competition, talk about the FIBA Afro Basket Men's competition. It was quite a very sad day for Nigerians that actually expected them to make their way through to the finals of this particular competition. We look at what went down, particularly in that quarterfinal game. We'll also look at all the conversations surrounding the world of tennis as we're looking forward to the start of the singles of the US Open. It continues to be an evolving conversation as regards top-seeded players. Whether or not Yannick Sinner would return in time is still looking forward to that particular update. We'll also look at the world of football with so many club sides doing business even in the Nigeria Premier Football League. We'll also, of course, have many additions across different club sides as we're looking forward to the start of the league season beginning from tomorrow. We'll also look at European conversation, transfer speculations still gathering momentum up until the first day of September when we'll have the transfer window officially slammed shut. We'll talk about all of these stories extensively, but let's first of all bring you up to speed with some big development making rounds in the world of sports. Welcome once again to the show. Well, the conversation starts from the world of tennis, where Sebastian Korda is finding form in his first tournament since Roland Garros. The American, who was battling a right shin stress fracture this summer, has won 2 matches at the Winston-Salem Open to reach the quarterfinals. Despite dropping the opening set yesterday, the 11th-seed Korda was unbroken en route to a 6-7, 6-3, 6-4 victory against Poland's Kamil Masha. The American won 82% of his first serve points and saved all 6 break points he faced, according to the stats. The Korda will next meet 13th-seed Marmar Kekmanovic, whom he's tied with 1-1 in their head-to-head series. Sebastian Korda beats the Serbian in this year's Adelaide semi-finals. Well, away from that now, still talking about conversations surrounding the world of sports this morning. Italian doubles specialists Sara Errani and Andrea Vavasori completed their mission by beating single star Iga Swiatek and Casper Ruud to win the controversially revamped US Open mixed event. Errani and Vavasori, whose place at the new look tournament was initially under threat, defended their crown with a thrilling 6-3, 5-7, 10-6 victory secured at almost midnight in New York. The pair walked away with the increased prize pot of $1 million. Enticing the singles players meant Errani and Vavasori were the only recognized double pairing in the 16-team draw. When the US Open announced the reimagination of the mixed doubles, featuring a shorter scoring format in the earlier rounds and new scheduling slots before the singles draw, opinion was split. It provoked outrage among doubles players, with Errani and Vavasori issuing a joint statement where they called out the organizers for what they felt was a profoundly wrong move. The pair, whose combined singles rankings were too low for direct entry, were eventually given a wild card, but the majority of doubles specialists were left sidelined. Away from that, Nigeria senior men's team, D Tigers, have been knocked out of the ongoing 2025 FIBA Afrobasket Championship following a 91-75 defeat to Senegal in their quarterfinal encounter yesterday. Both nations were meeting for the 9th time in history, with Nigeria having won 5 of the previous 8 encounters between them. The 2015 champions had won all 3 round-robin games at the tournament against Madagascar, Tunisia and Cameroon to finish top of Group B, while Senegal needed to go through a playoff against South Sudan to reach the last 8. Head coach Mohamed Abdurrahman's side had edged the first quarter 24-23, but they lost the plot during the second quarter. Senegal took the next 10 minutes, 30-18, to open up an 11-point advantage heading into the interval. Upon resumption of the third quarter, Senegal piled under pressure, which ultimately paid dividends as they won 23-13 points. However, the Tigers launched a thrilling comeback in the fourth and final quarter in a desperate bid to salvage their stay in the tournament, but it was too late as they edged the Senegalese 20-15. The loss sees Nigeria exit the quadrennial competition in the quarterfinals. The attention will now return to the FIBA Men's World Cup qualifying series set to commence in November, as they bid to book a ticket for the next edition of the competition set to hold in Qatar 2027, having missed out on the 2023 edition. Team Nigeria came out tops at the second edition of the Confederation of African Athletics Region, the second Senior Athletics Championships, which ended at the University of Ghana Sports Complex, Accra, on Tuesday. Nigeria topped the medal table with 15 gold, 8 silver, and 2 bronze medals, bringing the team's total medal haul to 25. Nigerian athletes dominated the sprint, quarter miles, and also won a few medals from throws and jumps to secure the title. This year's outing for Team Nigeria had a better medal haul as compared to last year's result of 13 gold, 4 silver, and a bronze medal. Well, to the world of football, where Arsenal is set to hijack Tottenham Hotspur's pursuit of Crystal Palace midfielder Eberechi Eze after agreeing to a fee of close to £68 million for the England international. A dramatic day of activity. Spurs on Wednesday morning were confident of finalizing a deal after reaching an agreement with Crystal Palace and personal terms with Eberechi Eze. However, Arsenal decided to enter the running later in the day amid fears that Kai Havertz could be set for a lengthy spell on the sidelines after picking up a knee injury. Eze was willing to join Spurs, but the midfielder, who has 2 years remaining on his contract, is a boyhood Arsenal fan and was previously thought to be open to joining the club when they originally made their interest known. Spurs is set to move on to other targets if Eze confirms his preference to join Arsenal, but it ranks as another disappointment in the market for Thomas Frank's side after they missed out on Morgan Gibbs-White, who at one stage was on the brink of joining the club before opting to sign a new contract to stay at Nottingham Forest. But that's all we have for you at this time. We'll take a very short break. When we return, we'll definitely have an extensive conversation as regards all of these sporting stories and much more. Do stay with us.
Get ready for the exciting showdown, the biggest names, the toughest competition, and the most thrilling moments. From the gridiron to hardwood and from the pitch to the track. Join us for Sports Central, the most electrifying sports program on television, every weekday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Spectrum Television. Sports Central, your home for sports.
your horizon is what every living being not only genuinely desires, but heartily pursues and intentionally invests in. For in the gathering of men, only those whose minds are in tune with the dynamics of the past, present, and future innovations, inventions, politics, and governance are respected. We are Spectrum Television, and broadening your horizon is our obsession. Risk on your decoder now to connect Spectrum Television on the frequency 12589, symbol rate 26250. That is frequency 12589, symbol rate 26250. Polarization horizontal, and join our online community at spectrumtvlive.ng. For further enquiries, please call 0704 158 5642 or 0704 541 7707. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon. Broadening your horizon is what every living being not only genuinely desires, but heartily pursues and intentionally invests in. For in the gathering of men, only those whose minds are in tune with the dynamics of the past, present, and future innovations, inventions, politics, and governance are respected. We are Spectrum Television, and broadening your horizon is our obsession. Risk on your decoder now to connect Spectrum Television on the frequency 12589, symbol rate 26250. That is frequency 12589, symbol rate 26250. Polarization horizontal, and join our online community at spectrumtvlive.ng. For further enquiries, please call 0704 158 5642 or 0704 541 7707. Spectrum Television, broadening your horizon.
Hello, good morning, and welcome to another exciting time. We talk about the best of stories and the analysis in the world of sports at the Sports Central. And my name is Blyden Lukem. Already seeing the guys well cuted and seated, ready for the talking point, and this one would be something to really look forward to. A part of a conversation, first thinking about you, I hope you're good and doing fine. A part of a conversation will center around the Western Salem Open in the world of tennis. Some of the biggest names are not available for this particular competition, but the likes of Sebastian Korda also doing the magic and qualifying for the quarterfinals of this one. We'll also look at some big names that are rallying, especially in the mixed double. Talking about Iga Swiatek and Casper Ruud are being beaten at the finals of it. We'll get details on the prize money and everything. All the controversies amid the double players missing out of this one. Well, in basketball, you already know the Tigers are out of it and being beaten by Senegal. Humiliating defeat, I must say, after winning the first quarter 24-23. The fourth had line in the second, and the third quarter rallied back in the fourth. It wasn't enough, but most importantly in the world of football, Eberechi Eze possibly going to move to Arsenal, and Victor Boniface on the other hand, a possible move to AC Milan. It would be the bulk and the chalk of the conversation today. Well, I start with the pleasantries, the guys being part of it. Ultimate David, good morning. So good to see you.
Well, an excellent morning to Richard Blyden. Returning with so much drama to the transfer market now. At this stage, we're actually seeing club sides hijacking deals left, right, and centre.
Not a new thing in football anyway.
I could recall last season, it was Chelsea, more like Chelsea. This season, it's actually scattered across, other club sides. It's making a whole lot of sense because we're actually seeing players, finding preference to which club they really want to join, and not a case of club sides forcing them to join a club just for their own, monetary interest. Makes a whole lot of sense, and I'm quite happy to return.
Well, so happy to return. Well, Aqua United board also making some key decisions in that direction. On funny thing out, UT David just started a conversation this way with players, club sides stealing players from the other club sides that are making the deal. And why always Tottenham Hotspur reminds me of the story before your introductory sermons. It reminds me of the story of Willian at Chelsea at the time. Willian went to Tottenham Hotspur to train, and guess what? Chelsea put a phone call. He was training with them and the paperwork were on and a deal almost concluded. Chelsea put a phone call to William and said, come on, we need you. And he left the training ground without Tottenham Hotspur knowing about it. And now Eze, almost done deal. And guess what? Arsenal's stepping in. It brings one part of a conversation for me. The way club sides are going, Newcastle, Manchester United, and all of them are going for players. It seems like we're having scarcity of top players up there. So anyone you can find, everyone battles for that one.
Definitely. I think it also boils down to the fact that Tottenham Hotspur are not a big club. Remember Angel Di Maria at Real Madrid came out to say it's always very sad when you're doing so well for your club side and you hear you might be going to Tottenham Hotspur. So could be the case, Tottenham not really having that pull. Eberechi Eze are always going to choose to go to Arsenal over Tottenham Hotspur, never in doubt.
Well, we'll talk about it in the course of it because as a fan, you always want to go to the club you were a fan to. Somewhat, somehow, it's the reality of things. Let's begin a conversation now in Sports Central, looking at the world of tennis and starting from the Western Salem Open. Sebastian Korda had to rally at the Western Salem competition to get victory at the end of it. You talk about some decent victories in this one. Sebastian Korda adding up the number against Meshach after losing the first set 7-6, a second set victory 6-3, and the third 6-4. We'll talk about start with you now. The numbers are counting for Sebastian Korda, the American tennis player, 11 seeded in this competition, taking the better of Meshach.
Well, I think it's quite good because it offers an opportunity to see players that are still within the ranks, trying to do quite well for themselves. Just yesterday when we were talking about Stefan Tsitsipas being voted out of the competition, I think it will be quite a level playing field now to allow all the tennis players not so top to compete at top level. Maybe gain some level of experience right here. Some players that are actually shying away from the US Open are right here in the Western Salem Open. I do not think any of them will really want to participate in the US Open after now, because after they still play the competition up until when we'll have the single start as well. Quite good for Sebastian Korda. I think all through last year I couldn't really recall how many things positive Sebastian Korda actually did, exception of participating in more top level competitions. Didn't win most of them. So I do not know what happened. Maybe whether it was actually injured or out, but I could recall at the time he wasn't even part of Grand Slams anymore. And from there, I think early January I heard about Sebastian Corder. Recently we're talking about the likes of Ben Shelton and the rest of all the US players doing quite well. But I think Sebastian Corder returning back is quite good for the man, and I really want to see him gain back his confidence and stamina authority. Not so Tottenham if you want to talk about US contingent. But I think, of course, participating here would also put him back on the map and doing quite well. Not just being quite one of the top seeded in this particular competition, but making a clean name for himself as well.
And making a clear name for himself as well. To David speaking about Sebastian Corder in that direction. And meanwhile, the likes of Hamad and Majadovich also beating fourth-seeded player Gabriel Diallo in and that's one. And one name that's been quite interesting for Nitina's friend in this one, being Chakete, becoming the first Chinese player to reach the tournament's quarterfinals, and this makes all the difference to talk about. One of these interesting feature in it. Well, let's talk about this particular tennis player because he's added up the number, beating Novena from Argentina 6-4 victory. The first Chinese player to get to this level of competition, the quarterfinals of it since 1999 thereabout. Quite exciting to talk about. The other conversation will be what builds the momentum for him moving further.
Well, I think for Buyun Chao Keita, when you look at what he's been able to do for himself, the very first Chinese player to reach the last 8 of the this particular competition, it seems like the man is actually trying to get a name for himself. The ATP 250, not really a big tournament, not a big tour level competition, so we don't really have big superstars. But we have, I think, a few top 20 superstars in this particular competition. Talk about Stefano Tsitsipas, Lucien Darderi, talking about Gabriel Diallo as well. So, and they are all beaten out, and Buyun Chao Keita also had a hand in one of those. Talking about Stefano Tsitsipas, so definitely a superstar to look forward to. But I'm really, a little bit suspicious of his, success, because I feel he's not done enough. When you look at his level of preparedness in big tour level competitions, he's not always really giving his best. But at the end of it, maybe this is just a stepping stone for him. Maybe this is the tournament that would act as a catalyst to transforming the man into a big tour level competitor, and maybe we'll start seeing the man start blazing the trail in more competitions to come, because when you have this confidence, it's all about building confidence. When you lose in left, right, center, it gets to affect you psychologically. But now when you have a victory against the top 20 opponent, is Stefano Tsitsipas, definitely a starting point for you. You can build something around that and get to go further in more competition. Well,
more competition and going further is that conversation. Meanwhile, the likes of Sebastian Baez also got the better of Van der Zandschulp in this one, winning the first set 6-love, second set 1-6 and 4-6. Rather not Sebastian Baez losing to Van der Zandschulp in this one, despite Zandschulp losing the first set 6-love, but had to rally back, beating Sebastian Baez in this one. And the second set 6-1 and the third set 6-4 to have a victory. And the quarterfinals fixtures are out in the Winston-Salem Open. Korda would take on Kekmanovic in this one. A battle between 11-seeded player against 13-seeded player, and we talk about Mano of Spain face a Pericat of France. Is going to be such an unfolding conversation for some of the big lads and what they've been able to achieve moving even further. And now let's switch gears, still in the world of tennis, and talk about the US Open, because it's adding up the number the way it ought to be. And definitely would be about Irani and Vavasori emerging as champions at the mixed double, beating Iga Swiatek as well as Casper Ruud, who were playing at the other end of it. Well, so I'll come to you on this one now. Surprisingly, most often than not, if you see Iga Swiatek and Casper, you think it's going to be an easy game for them against some of these openers, the likes of Irani and Vavasori, but it didn't happen the way many thought it was going to happen. Top superstars were playing the doubles, a totally different kind of a ball game. Put this side by side with a conversation that's rally. The prize money that's come out of it about $1 million. And before now, most of the double players were complaining to not being drafted to be part of the mixed double. So it seemed to be more like they're trying to sell this one at the US Open. So the big names being part of that mix and the real double players not really being part of this mix.
Well, I do not know whether it was definitely for the interest of the organizers of the US Open.
Yeah.
Because you do not have players who actually deserve to be, that players that are already double partners. We've actually known them for years now participating, and then you just go draft a few players, top names, and of course put them together to have something. Maybe I just look at it being quite on the a financial aspect could also be quite something to look at, because many would want to see Iga Swiatek play against Kasparov. Those are two top players.
Yeah.
In fact, many would want to see the likes of
A play alongside Iga Swiatek.
Definitely. But I think away from that, it is also the beauty of the doubles, because on paper it looked more glaring.
Yeah, that's so simple. Come on, Iga Swiatek and Kasparov.
The only name on the other opposing end that rings a bell a little is the Rani. She's actually been around the scene for some time.
Even with that, doesn't really ring the bell.
Absolutely.
When you talk about the sound of the bell, Iga Swiatek and Kasparov.
Just one of the players that we actually know, definitely. But I think at the moment it's just the beauty of the doubles. Most times you don't know what to expect. During the doubles games, you do not actually, of course, look at the player that's got quality, because most times on the singles play, it has to do with technicality.
Yeah, and the distance you have to cover yourself.
But in the doubles, it definitely has to do with chemistry.
Yeah, absolutely.
Understanding both players are, they can actually get the
within a close range, yeah?
Absolutely. So I think that's what happened yesterday for Iga Swiatek. May didn't really see it coming. But I think if we have more of this, we could also make a lot of sense. Because imagine we have the likes of maybe Iga Swiatek partnering Carlos Alcaraz and not so top names getting on this other end, getting the best of them. It brings beauty to the game as well.
It brings beauty to the game as well. It's something many people would love to see. Even further, I don't know if it's something funny thing I would love to see. Virtually in all games, talking about Grand Slam games, we get to see the mixed double tech plays. What's happened that now we see it towards the end of the season or beginning of the season in one of the unity competition that we talk about. But looking at a Grand Slam competition and having the mixed double, so far, is it so good?
Well, I think it's good, but I stand with the doubles players now, because when you come to a competition where they have competitors already in that particular competition, and you say you should not compete, you just bring singles competitors just because they are no names, just to come and give the fanfare and the glamorous part of it.
Well, they'll still compete in the doubles.
They didn't compete. We had just one known doubles competitor. Who are people that won?
No,
the
what I'm saying is, this is a mixed double. There's going to be the doubles of the US Open,
Yeah.
so they'll still compete in the doubles anyway.
But I think you should allow the doubles competitors to have something for themselves, because we have people who are mixed doubles. They're used to themselves, so I definitely should allow them to compete. That's what Vavasori was saying yesterday. Even Iga Swiatek came out to say that now she understands why you have partners, and you cannot just throw people together. They will not have that chemistry, just like UT talked about. And talking about it, $1 million. Usually the prize money is 200,000. So you can see it's 5 times more of that, and you're now taking it away from the people who are supposed to earn that.
Well, because
them, you didn't even have
here's a point, because if you're talking about the doubles and the names are not so big, it doesn't get so attractive. Yeah. At the end of it, you can't cough out the $1 million and pay them. Let me just finish the point so you get. So it's like saying now, the reason they're able to pay that is because of the big brands that are part of it. Yeah. And so they're attracting the money and making it beautiful. So if you want to be a doubles player and be in the mixed double, then be a big name.
That's the thing. And the way they met the qualifiers for the mixed double was such that you would put together the ranking point for both superstars who are participating. So when you put the participating ranking point for all these players who are in the mixed double, was quite very low compared to the likes of Iga Swiatek.
Absolutely.
That's why it was difficult for them to compete here. And you look at it at the end of it, just one. I think that's quite sad. Just one.
Yeah, and they had to complain a lot. And finally, they've got to.
They came in as a wild card, so they played 2 more games than the likes of Iga Swiatek.
But they've gotten the finals and won it.
And still won it.
Well, it's not about being the good player in the doubles now. It's not about being but they're going to earn $1 million now. It makes all the difference. Probably it's left for the US Open organizers to begin to think about the doubles competition and increase the prize money. Valentina says previously it was about $200 and something $1,000 thereabout, so increase it a bit, maybe to $500,000. But come on, question would be how many fans go to watch a double comparatively to the singles, and the very fact that we're talking about the mixed doubles in this one. Well, quickly still looking at the US Open, Ito and Seidel and Jen all continuing strong summer form. US Open, I wouldn't want to dwell on it, but lots of qualifiers are ongoing. As of yesterday, I checked, multiple games were suspended at the US Open qualifiers. Just a few of them, 2 or thereabout, completed, but most of those games were suspended. But the likes of Ito, Seidel and Jen are doing quite a magic. And now let's talk about one that concerns us and quite interesting to everybody. What paid the Afro basketball tournament? Well, the D Tigers were having the dream of getting to the next round of the competition, the semi-finals of it, and probably go all the way to win it. And since 2013, it's not added up the number for them. But it took on the Senegalese side, who battled through the playoffs to beat South Sudan. When they beat South Sudan, that shows something. They've had various head-to-head against the D Tigers of Nigeria, but now it seems to be at par now. 5 wins to each other. And we're talking about the numbers. A big loss for the D Tigers in this one. 91-75, and Senegal go through. Up next for Senegal would be against Mali. I got to give details of that. But the first set, Nigerian side won 24-23 upon. Second set faltered the line. Third set faltered the line. But the last set they had to rally back. They tried the best they could to get a victory, but still didn't add up enough for them at the end of it. And 20-15 in the fourth, not the set now, fourth quarter rather. So first quarter 24-23, second quarter 18-30, Senegalese winning, and third quarter 23-18, Senegal winning this one. And you're talking about the fourth set 20-15, Nigeria winning. In total, 75 points for Nigeria, 91 points for Senegal, and Senegal did the margin for Tottenham. You sat here, you and Toby David, and then gave Nigeria the chance yesterday. Lo and behold, it's all the way Senegal.
Well, I think it's quite disappointing because judging from the way these both sides qualified for the quarterfinal bout, we expect Nigeria to win this game in a convincing fashion. So it was quite something that we didn't expect. And that's the beauty of sports, you know. You cannot count anyone out till it's over. So I think it's quite good now. The Tigers get to them, but it would have been better for them to qualify for the semi-finals because they would have a better chance of qualifying for the FIBA World Cup. But now they have to go to the qualifying series. So I still have an outsider's chance to get to the FIBA World Cup because that's where I want to see these D Tigers. Because I think we've got a good crop of players. Talking about Caleb Agada, likes of Stan Okoye and all of that. I think this is the time to make something out of the current squad we have. For 10 years, we've not had this level of quality players in the D Tigers setup. So it's quite good to have something like this. And we should not let it go to West. Try to use it to gain something. It's going to be 4 years before we see the Afro basket again. So no chance for the D Tigers. But we can get to the FIBA Men's World Cup and try to get something for ourselves.
Well, it's always going to be that conversation going to the World Cup and perform against some of the biggest superstars. We took David, the top performer, and this one was Branco Bari of Senegal, 32 points and 4 rebounds, but Nigeria lost.
Well, I think it's quite unfortunate because many were actually expecting the quality of the D Tigers, just like Fon mentioned, to range from over the Senegalese side. But if you can recall, even in my analysis yesterday, talking about the D Tigers and how fascinating they've actually been, I also said something at the end that they should, of course, take this game quite seriously. Because there is a way you actually, of course, rejoice about the very fact that you had clean slates at the group stage. You had it even in the last game as well. And you hanked it over to the quarterfinal. You're meant to be shocked. And I think the Senegalese side understood the very fact that even on paper, they actually do not really stand a chance, owing to the very fact that they had to use, the qualifier route to get to the quarterfinals. And for Nigeria, I do not know whether it was quite a shifted focus, which I do not think was actually the case. It just happened that they had a bad day in office.
Senegal were better.
Yes,
that's
definitely. I mean, the Senegalese
Nigeria won the first set, 24-23.
You could actually see the hunger in the Senegalese, opponents. Even when they were thrilling, they actually still pushed more, scored as many points as possible.
Here's why I got the fear for Nigeria. When I realized Senegal passed through South Sudan. South Sudan has been such a revelation in recent times in African basketball. And if you put Sudan and South Sudan get a better of Sudan. And that's our conversation. In recent, even the FIBA basketball championship we saw the last time out, it was South Sudan doing so well comparatively to the likes of Nigeria. So Senegal going past them. The other game that's taking place at the FIBA Afro basketball, the men's category, was a battle between, a battle between Ivory Coast and Mali. Such a battle went and spanned through overtime, and Mali getting the victory at the end of it, 102-96 for Ivory Coast. And up next in the FIBA basketball would be Egypt today against Cameroon and Angola against Cape Verde. But the beauty of all of this is with semi-finals, first pair, we're looking at Mali taking on Senegal on Saturday. What games we're talking about, what intensity and what drive it is at the end of it for some of these Malian sides and the Senegalese side. Now quickly, let's talk about another interesting conversation. It would be that World Athletics body have approved Bamidele's United Arab Emirates switch is that conversation. And we've seen this happen time and time again, paving way for him to compete under a new flag. It's that conversation of 400 meters sprinter Emmanuel Bamidele changing gears, leaving Nigeria and joining United Arab Emirates. Well, his first race would be its first race under the UAE flag will be the men's 400 meters invitational at the Brussels Diamond League finale, a non-profit event where he's set to face 6 Belgian runners and Jamaicans Antonio Watson on Friday. Well, I want to ask what you make of it in Fanitina just a minute, and we go on that break to talk about football stories.
Well, I think for Emmanuel Bamidele now finally has an opportunity to switch his allegiance properly, because the previous time we've had him done that, he's not really switched it on the World Athletic Federation, but this time he's gone through the proper corners to make it. So maybe it's completely bye-bye now to Nigeria and the Athletics Federation of Nigeria, because we might never see Emmanuel Bamidele back, because he's done that switch now on the official platform. So for him, let's see how it gets better for him, because in recent times he's had quite a downward spiral in fortune. Right. He used to have a race under 45 seconds, but recent time, the last 3 races, he's been above 45 seconds. So quite bad for him. Let's see how these would improve his fortunes of qualifying for the World Athletic Meet.
Maybe it's going to up his energy a little bit now for running for the United Arab Emirates, the Gulf nation, with plenty of money definitely in that direction. Wealth has been a thing for athletes, but now we'll go on a quick break, and when we're back, we'll talk about football stories all around the world, other transfers that are niggling, and we'll look at other possibilities and all of it. Don't go anywhere.
Get ready for the exciting showdown, the biggest names, the toughest competition, and the most thrilling moments. From the gridiron to hardwood, and from the pitch to the track. Join us for Sports Central, the most electrifying sports program on television, every weekday from 11 a.m. to 12 noon on Spectrum Television. Sports Central, your home for sports.
Broadening your horizon is what every living being not only genuinely desires, but heartily pursues and intentionally invests in. For in the gathering of men, only those whose minds are in tune with the dynamics of the past, present, and future innovations, inventions, politics, and governance.
Welcome back here to Sports Central, and my name is Bladen. The guys here with me going nowhere, Fonitino, Tube David, and ready for the talking point in the world of football. And football, here we go. Well, let's begin the conversation from home. Home base it is, Aqua United and Bomb Angels. They get new board, quite interesting. Well, last season, Aqua United were relegated from the Nigerian Premier Football League, and now they'll be participating in the NNL, the Nigerian National League, in that direction, alongside other teams from Akwa Ibom, the likes of Dakada, Ibom Youth, and the rest of them, Gospel Akpabi International, Gospel Akpabi Football Club. Meanwhile, we hear that the governor of the state, Omano, had named Mr. Joseph Eno, and according to details we're getting, Mr. Eno is an accounting graduate of a University of Nigeria in Nsukka, and new chairman of Aqua United. He retired voluntarily from Total Energies after 20 years of service as a contract and procurement manager in Port Harcourt, a passionate football lover, has captained schools, university and corporate football teams in success and is successfully currently a BOT member of Famed Minds Sporting All Stars International FC. Oh, yo. Well, unfortunately, the way you're looking at me now, probably seems like you never saw that details, but that's the detail about the man who's the new chairman of Aqua United. What are we expecting in that direction?
Oh, I've heard a lot. CV is quite lengthy, but I can pinpoint a quality from it because we're talking about management of a top football team like Aqua United, a former NPFL champions, 2 times Federation Cup champions, and you're telling me about a Famed Minds, a football club we've not even heard of before, not even in the NLO level. So I think very lengthy CV, but nothing to write home about. I'll just be playing with it. But at the end of it, let's see if he can, bring the prowess he's had in his accounting department, because that's all I could make of those, lengthy resume. Accounting department in the Total Energies company. Let's see how it works for him in Aqua United. Because our last chairman, talking about Elder Paul Bassi, quite conversant with the football scene in Akwa Ibom State, and now this man, we don't know him, so let's see what it's going to be.
Well, funny Tina doesn't seem to know Mr. Eno, but Utube David, you might know Mr. Eno so far, but most important isn't just about the man that comes in, what he needs to do with some of these teams. Put that side by side with the very fact that for Ibom Angel, Prince Ukeme Ukpong, funny Tina, I don't know if you know Prince Ukeme Ukpong, and that has been named chairman, widely regarded as the biggest supporter of female football in the Akwa Ibom, and Ukpong has promoted grassroots development through the Prince Ukeme Ukpong Unity Cup for over a decade, and holds a degree in business administration and is founder of the Prince Ukeme Ukpong Mega Foundation. Other board members being part of all of this, Utube David put this side by side, Prince Ukeme Ukpong alongside Mr. Eno.
Well, I think we expected these changes, especially after Aqua United relegated the Angels, not so, of course, progressive.
Being that Elder Paul Bassi now the commissioner of sports.
Definitely, especially after the commissioner was actually appointed. Well, I do not have a whole lot to say because at the moment you're looking at them at the second tier, maybe no more pressure returning back to the league. It's where we actually know where exactly that particular changes have been made when they return back to the NPFL. But Paulo Four also being appointed as the coach of Aqua United, something quite good. The former Sporting Lagos coach, so he's also bringing his wealth of experience to Aqua United. Now, fresh challenge. Many won't be talking about Elder Paul Bassi when Aqua United are not doing quite well.
So it will be Mr. Eno, yeah?
Yeah, we'll have Mr. Eno now to be accountable.
Well, Elder Paul Bassi is a commissioner, a football administrator, so somehow we're going to leave, because most of the funds going to come through him. Yeah, most of the funds, and you never can tell, some ideas could come through him. He's been there before, and I'm supposed to advise this man on what to do. But let's leave Elder Paul Bassi's case. This man now, what I want to get from you, are there expectations, certain things you think that should be done that weren't done before now with Aqua United? Is it in the quality of players? Is it home-based or homegrown players? Or how, whatsoever? What is that change you want to see?
I think the only change I'm actually looking forward to is trying to leave the way Aqua United usually were before now.
Which was
about, of course, going to the locals. That's the second, the third tier, and bringing us to the NPFL. Definitely to Aqua United, and in most cases it doesn't turn out well. That's one of the reasons why we're even really.
Before now, he did.
Yeah, he did. Before now, he did. But I think as you gradually go in, definitely the quality of football in the NPFL is also increasing.
So what do you want them to do then?
Get quality players to the side. Look at what Remo Stars, I think we'll talk about it. Remo Stars are actually doing at the moment. Getting foreign-based players to play in the league. I mean, those are experienced footballers doing fairly well.
So what about homegrown players?
Well, I'm not actually, of course, totally accepting the homegrown players. There will always be slots for homegrown players. But holistically, talking about the 20-something man squad of that particular football club, you have to get quality in there. Without quality, I bet you we're going nowhere.
Well, first of all, like you said, Aqua United playing in the NNL, Remo Stars in the NPFL. The monetary funds allocated to them is going to be different. You cannot expect Aqua United to go sign foreign players like Remo Stars.
No, I'm not saying you should sign now.
Let's get a him.
So
go ahead.
I think Aqua United can still get players from NNL clubs, because now they're in the NNL. You found yourself there. You cannot bring NPFL players to play in the NNL.
So maybe Utube David is looking at the future now. Really hopeful. Lots of definitely in there. Well, Aqua United is different. Well, Timothy David is saying it's definite. Let's see how it goes then. Quick, let's switch gear and talk about the likes of Remo Stars adding the numbers in the squad, bolstering their squad with foreign signings, which is what Timothy David was talking about. A transfer talk is AC Milan and Leverkusen agreeing for Victor Boniface loan move. I hear it's going to be a loan move first and a possibility of not an obligation to sign, but an option to sign for about 30 million euros or pounds.
30 million euros.
30 million euros.
Pounds
but
only used in English.
okay. But here's a conversation, because when you look at the transfer market, most often than not, I think it's 30 million pounds. It's not euros.
No, it's euros.
From what I saw, it's 30 million pounds. Valentina, don't worry. You're thinking about Germany. We're talking about the transfer market benchmark. But the conversation is now Victor Boniface to AC Milan. They're struggling a bit in terms of the strikers. You know, Tammy Abraham when they left there and all of that now. Is he that player that goes down, hit the ground running? You trust him based on what you've seen from Nigeria and at Leverkusen?
Well, I think for Victor Boniface, he definitely has the challenge. I've watched him play football, so I know he has.
Yeah,
for Nigeria.
we have.
Nigeria.
So what happened? He doesn't have the talent when he plays for Nigeria.
Well, we know it's always difficult for players. Look at Paulo Dybala, very beautiful player at club level, but he's never been able to transition that particular, influence.
But slightly different. Before he said, "I calm down first." Just made me laugh when he said, "It's such a talented footballer, but not for Nigeria."
No,
because so when it comes to Nigeria, the talent disappears.
But hopefully he gets to. I'm sure Samuel Chukwueze has played a very huge role in bringing this man to AC Milan.
Really?
From the conversations we had, he had a conversation with Samuel Chukwueze. So
because he's not so sure about himself as AC Milan, Samuel Chukwueze, and he's playing roles.
Was hugely pursued by Fulham, but he decided to stay put at AC Milan. He feels he's going to have a chance under Massimiliano Allegri.
There was no bid.
There was a bid between him and Kevin from Shakhtar Donetsk. So after he gave his priority to stay back at AC Milan, Fulham decided to go for Kevin from Shakhtar Donetsk.
I never saw a bid. That's what I'm saying. And it's speculative. They wanted him. When you really want something, you go for, bring the bid.
There are different avenues to get transferred.
Before we go, you have your sources, no problem. Well, Utube David, just put this side by side before we close. Arsenal are jacking Tottenham's move for Eberechi Eze, 60 million pounds thereabout. We here for Eberechi Eze moving to Arsenal. His dream club started at Arsenal, but we hear Arsenal sent him away at a young age, and he's always been since then having that dream to go back to Arsenal. Cahaver's injury opening up the door, and now Eberechi Eze to Arsenal. Discuss.
Arsenal at the moment, talk about Eberechi Eze, because he's also one player who can actually play throughout the attacking line of that Arsenal squad. We want him on the left wing, he will be there. Want him as a number 10, he will definitely be there, which I think at the moment, we want him to deputize in moments where we do not have Martin Odegaard in that team. He will definitely respond. We've seen it over time at Crystal Palace, play through those options at the moment. He's a good quality player, especially.
But he needs play time. At Arsenal, you think it's going to be a starter for them?
He will need time to, adapt to that Arsenal, team, because at Crystal Palace, he was the vocal point.
Yeah.
However you want to look at it, the passes have to pass through Eberechi Eze to, the attackers to finish it.
And now at Arsenal.
At Arsenal is quite different.
Yeah.
Every single player can actually spring those passes. So if you're actually dependent on the very fact that you get the ball from the defense or from the defensive midfield,
thank you, sir.
It would definitely be something else. But I think he will need time, and Arteta knows very well he will need time to acclimatize to the system at Arsenal. But good addition, quality player.
Well, go online, let us know what your thoughts are for Eberechi Eze going to Arsenal Football Club on Facebook and all the social media handles that you could think of. Spectrum TV Live, find it and go there, drop your comments. Good move for Eberechi Eze or not to Arsenal. I mean, while we hear that Brentford has rejected new £40 million Newcastle bid for Wiza, and Real Madrid Alonso downplays Rodrigo's benching amid EPL links. Meanwhile, RB Leipzig have agreed personal terms with Harvey Elliott, and just like Nottingham Forest are also exploring the possibility of reuniting with defender Marty Cash, and Marcel are interested in signing left-back Cortas Simicas. Is that conversation? Well, Mfani Tina, so good to have you be part of the show today.
Well, one player pushing to leave Newcastle, another player pushing to go to Liverpool. Johan Wissa, Alexander Isak.
All right.
Succeeds.
Quite about David. Thank you. All right, we're keeping it simple. I say, just as Twe said, it's a pleasure having to talk sports with you. Thank you for being a part of it. And here we bounce. My name is Blyden Ukem.